Be seated. I want to call the Haiti team up. Come on down. Come on. Come on. Up here. All right, here comes your fearless leader. I'm going to hand it off to her. I know they've got a couple things to show you, and then they're going to share, so I'll let Kristen introduce it to you.
Good morning. First of all, I want to apologize in advance. I think most of us are going to sound a little nasally this morning. I caught a cold while we were down there, and as good team leaders do, we share everything with all our members. So I apologize in advance for that. But first and foremost, we want to thank you for your prayers. They were definitely felt and appreciated, especially when you prayed for those cool breezes at night. We really needed them. These guys were real troopers. I've been to Haiti many times, and this was definitely the hottest week we have ever had. You cooled off by your sweat, not the bucket bath. So that's just to show you how hot it was. So, and we also most certainly appreciate your financial support. It would not have been possible. We tried to do a lot of fundraising, but it wasn't possible without your generous support. So thank you again for that. And I'll try to keep it short and sweet and then pass it on. Just a few things. We know as we go into a short-term mission trip that we can't change Haiti, and we could all move to Haiti today, and we wouldn't be able to change it and make things way better. So our goal is to obviously make things better for an individual, make things better for a group of people, but we know that we can't change Haiti overnight. And with that being said, it's pretty humbling and inspiring to see how God used these folks behind me to do his work. And I'll just give you a short example. Last year when I went, there was a little boy named Mueve. He's about this tall. He's about 8 or 9 years old. He wore a long-sleeved fleece shirt, and that's all he wore. And he was doing cartwheels and dancing, and he's quite a dancer. And he would come around, and Alexin, who was the guy that leads the team from as far as Haiti representative goes, he'd never seen this little boy before. And you got to know Mueve, and he's quite a character, as I said. And then this year, Mueve came back with his little sister, Belinda. And we all instantly of course, the group last year fell in love with Mueve. We all fell in love with Belinda. This year, Mueve had this nasty little infection on his stomach. And these guys, I think I was the only one not in there because I don't do that sort of stuff real well. They helped clean up that infection, and Mueve cried in tears, and it was Matt held him while he was working on him, and then Matt held him until the little boy fell asleep in his arms. The next morning, because it was so hot, I just happened to walk outside the house real early, and Mueve is out there at 6 o'clock in the morning, lifts up his shirt, points to his spot, and then gives a big thumbs up. So that's one of my favorite stories from the week, but I'll let these guys share with you their favorite stories and experience. So thank you again. Okay, we'll show the video first, and then we'll talk.
You call me out upon the waters, the great unknown, where feet may fail. And there I find you in the mystery, in oceans deep, my faith will stand. Keep my eyes above my soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours. You are mine. Your grace abounds in deepest waters. Your sovereign hand will be my guide. My feet may fail and fear surrounds me. You've never failed, and you won't stop now. So I will call upon your name and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours, and you are mine. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of My soul will rest in your embrace. I am yours, and you are mine.
Oh, are you praying? Yeah, she's probably going to start doing church with you guys. She's saying close your eyes.
Oh, close my eyes?
Yeah, she's going to pray.
Comment really?
Véranda.
Belinda? Hi, bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Comment really, Taylor? Can you say that, Taylor?
Winslow.
Taylor? Oui? Taylor?
Io li lanno vedo ma
Say bye. 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 Bye.
Answer a few questions as far as what we physically did. You saw some pictures of the school that we worked with is New Covenant School. It's run through the Church of the Brethren, and the current building they've kind of outgrown already. And I helped to build that building 5 years ago. So we helped. You saw a lot of digging going on. We physically moved rocks pretty much the whole time. And it was amazing that none of us were sore, none of us were hurting. There's a few people that had bruises, but that was it, to move as many rocks as we seemed to have moved. And then the afternoon, we did a vacation Bible school. And, of course, we loved on kids the whole time, as you've seen. So here they are.
I'm nervous, so I'll go ahead and go first. This trip was probably the hardest week of my life, emotionally and physically. 2 stories I'll share because we had a whole bunch more pictures to show, lots. So we'll kind of share what we did. It truly is a week that puts your faith to the test. One story was, I'm a diabetic and I'm on insulin. So we got to Haiti, everything was fine. My insulin needs to stay on cold, not ice, but cold. And we got to Port-au-Prince. Everything was fine. We packed everything up in coolers. We had about an 7, 8, 9-hour drive to St. Louis in the back of 2 S10 trucks, all of us sitting in the back on these bumpy roads. But it was fun. We got to see the country. So we got up there. We're unloading the coolers. And Monday morning, I got up. We were getting ready to go to work. And I opened the cooler to get my insulin out to give me a shot. It was cracked open in the dirty water. And I stood there, panicked for about 3 or 4 minutes, because I take insulin every day. And I thought, God, this is on you. This is truly on you now, because I have no choice. Excuse me. We all have colds, like she said. And I sat there, and I said, well, God, you're going to have to get me through this week, because I think the closest CVS may be a country away. So I just said, well, we got to do it. And this team was amazing. They supported me the entire time. Matt always had M&Ms in his backpack. Every time I'd start to break down, he'd say, I got M&Ms, I got M&Ms. So I just kind of really watched and prayed and checked my sugar about 5 times a day, and I was fine. I was fine. And I shared this story with my doctor. Of course, Monday morning, I called her over the weekend, and she's like, come in Monday morning, get your medicine. And she said, that's just amazing. I can't believe you did so well for the week. And I said, well, it wasn't me, it was God. And I said, he got me through that week. So it really, it's, we laughed and we sweat and we cried and we sweat and we laughed some more and then we cried, and it was just an amazing week. And I think each one of us had one of these moments that was kind of an aha moment. And I'm sure you're going to hear from each one of them. I didn't script mine out. I was too nervous to do that. But there was a moment one evening when there's like where we stayed at, and I wish we could have got the rest of the pictures up because you could have got a good image of actually where we stayed. But there was a little alley walkway behind, and we had 2 interpreters that was with us the whole week, Marco and James. And this one evening, Marco, I could hear him singing, and he had his iPad music on. I thought, where is he? So I got up and walked to the back where he was, down this little walkway alleyway. And I looked back there, and there's 3 or 4 kids back there, and they're just singing. So I went back there and sat with him, and we sat and sang and sang. And this little boy got up on my lap, and he started singing and just raising his hands to God. And I thought, this is what it's all about. This moment right here is what it's all about. And it just blessed me beyond. And it was one of those moments where each one of us, one by one, came back into that little dirty alleyway and sat with these kids. And we just sang and sang with them and just laughed and tickled. And we were all perfectly fine until a spider dropped down on one of the kids' heads. And we all just panicked. So, like I said, there were moments we could all sit down and write a book. I came back thinking, I hope that we just touched one life. And like I said, the heat was unbearable. And I found myself every day going, God, forgive me for complaining for the heat, because I looked around at these kids and these families. And when you walk through the village and you think, but we're going home on Friday. They're here. They're stuck here. And I will never, ever in my life take advantage of having running water to brush my teeth. Never. It's just, like I said, we could each probably stand up here the whole service and tell you moments and moments that touched our lives. On Monday when we got there, we all had our breakdown moments, I guess. And on Monday when we got there, I know a couple of us was like, oh my gosh, what have we got ourselves into? I don't think I could ever do this again. I really don't. By Thursday or Friday, I absolutely could do this again, and I can't wait to see these kids and these families again. And, we, Friday night, Alexan sat with all of us. I'm sorry, I don't mean to take up all the time. On Friday night, we got back to Port-au-Prince, and we were we had a free day, and we went to the beach and spent the day just kind of taking a deep breath. And on Friday night, Alexan and Kayla, who are our hosts down there, we sang this song, and he said, we are strangers no more. You know, we're family now, and I truly believe that. I have no doubt that my Haitian family, that we could call them for anything, and they would be right there with us. And then I look at the team we have behind us right now. I call them my American Haitian family. And it's just amazing how we stood by each other. We supported each other. When each of us had a weak moment, the rest of us stood behind each other, and it was life-changing.
All of us want to share our moment one-on-one, not standing in front of everybody. Thank you, Linda. We could go on and on about all the times we had with the children and with the people. It was amazing, and the work was amazing, and I don't know how we did it without getting sore. We moved rocks and more rocks and more rocks and concrete. But it was really nice watching the Haitians. Number one, they appreciated what we were doing. You could see it, and they would say it. And they worked with us, even when they didn't have to. The little children would pick up rocks and walk with us, and we'd high-five each other as we were passing each other from one place to another. And also every night when we prayed together, we did devotions. That was really special. And it was special because the Haitians did that with us too, and they prayed with us and they prayed for us. And that just meant a lot. And the last day we worked, one of the families, one of the gentlemen came back with us from the work site, and he shared how much he appreciated us being there, and he sang for us, and he prayed with us, and all of those moments were just incredibly special. The one thing that hit me was just really a personal one-on-one thing with God, which I will never forget. That first night in St. Louis du Nord, so we had come to the guest house, we were fine, and then we got in the trucks, and we drove and drove and drove, and then drove and drove and drove, and drove some more. And it was basically like driving on a dried-up riverbed, a rocky riverbed, just for hours. And it was fine. We were okay with all of that. We enjoyed it, I think. I don't know if that's the word, but we did. But we get there after all these hours of driving, and we settle in. Everybody's very nice. We get our little bunks, and we set up our mosquito netting, which are these little tents we could zip ourselves in. So they were pretty cool and not all at the same time. But somewhere in that night, I woke up. I had gone to sleep, but I woke up, and fear came over me. I was in complete panic. All I could think was, what have I done? Where am I? I knew where I was. It wasn't like I woke up in a fog. I knew where I was, but all I could think was, why have I done this? Why have I come this far? I don't even know where I am, except for, 7 hours away on some rock road. I've brought my daughter here. We've left my husband. We're trapped. We're never going to get out of here. I don't know how to get out of here. Even if I stepped out of the house, we're gated in, sort of. Where do I go? What do I do? It was just complete panic. And I'm thinking, God, what have you done? Why have you done this? Somewhere in the middle of that, the generator cut off, and so it got quiet because the fans were running all the time. And so I tried to calm down, and I heard Justice cough. She was at, our beds were all crammed together. So in this panic, I had unzipped my tent on both sides because I felt like I was closed in, and I want to get up, but I'm scared to get up, and I don't have anywhere to go. Justice coughed, and I just said, are you okay? And she said, yes. And I'm thinking, I just want you to come to my tent. I want to hold you, but I can't let her know I'm scared, and then I'm panicking. So it was quiet for a moment, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, while the generator was off. They ended up turning it back on. But the voodoo drums, Justice and I heard the voodoo drums, and I knew that was something she was a little worried about. So again, are you all right? And she was fine. And we heard some guy yelling on the street or road. But I just kind of sat there and tried to calm myself, and it wasn't working very well. And so then I guess the generator cut back on, but all I know, I got to a point where I was not happy with God. And let me fast forward to what I looked up, and then I'll go back to the story. I looked up later Isaiah 41:10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee. And also 1 Chronicles 16:11. Seek the Lord and his strength. Seek his face continually. Back into the story, this is what that looked like. I'm laying there. I know God opened up some door somewhere and peeked in on me. And this little light in God's face said, Carol, I'm here. How can I help you? What do you need? Well, he shouldn't have asked that, because basically I started fussing at God very loudly in my brain because I didn't want Justice to know I was freaking out. But God asked for it, so then I am saying, God, what are you thinking? How could you do this to me? You promised never to forsake me, never to leave me. Fear is not something that is of you. I am scared to death. You need to help me right now. You need to take this fear away. I am telling God what to do. And I was very angry. I'm just like, what do you think you're doing? You dragged me and Justice away from our family. You've trapped us in this place. This is not your plan. I know it's not your fear. Help me now. Please, please, please help me. I am begging God to help me. And I talked to him, and I screamed at him, and I yelled at him, and all this quietly because I don't want to wake up everybody who's 2 feet from me. But somewhere and somehow in the night, God was there, because I don't remember the rest. All I know is he came and he calmed me and he took that fear away, because I don't remember the rest. I remember waking up in the morning and thinking back on the night, but there was no fear, nothing. It was all gone. I was completely calm. I was completely complacent. I was very happy to be in Haiti, and I was very happy to see everybody still in their tents. Nobody left me. It was amazing. It was absolutely awesome that God came to me in that panic and said, I love you. I am here. I will calm you. And he did. So that was my awesome story. Next.
Ooh, I get to hold it this time. Okay, so I'm going to tell y'all a little story. So when we got to Haiti, I was obviously not expecting what I expected, if that makes any sense. I was expecting something, but I knew it was going to be different, because that's how it always turns out. And we got there, and I was kind of expecting everybody to be like a little sad, a little angry, all the Haitians being angry or sad. And nobody was angry or sad. Everybody had a smile on their face. They were walking down the streets, talking to each other, talking to strangers. I don't know, they could have been their cousins, but they were talking to everybody, and they were just all smiling and happy. And I guess that's when the realization came to me that the media makes things a lot worse, or exaggerates them more than they really should. And the story that my testimony was, I may be sick or not be feeling good that day, and I don't want to go to church. I don't really have a good reason other than I just don't feel good and I don't feel like going to church. But those Haitians are lucky to go to church. They're lucky if they can have a Bible, or they're lucky if they can hear the scripture. They're lucky if they can even hear the name of Jesus. And they're still so happy, and they'll sing their praises to God whenever they can or whenever they think about it. And it's just so amazing to me that somebody or some people in that much poverty and that much sadness running around with sometimes no clothes on, just in their birthday suit. They can just be so happy and singing praises to God, and just, I don't know, it was just a really big wake-up call to me to see the contrast between America and Haiti. And it was just an eye-opener for me. So, yeah. Okay. Um, I was the first person when we got to Haiti to just totally break down. And as soon as we got there, I was so excited in the airport and at Port-au-Prince, and we walked out of the airport, and it was just like intense heat and just hundreds and hundreds of people just standing, like staring at us. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And then Alexa met us, and he took us to our trucks, and it was just crazy commotion because people were trying to like take your bags so you'll pay them and all this stuff. And then we were loading the trucks, and these guys came up to us and were trying to sell us paintings and just begging us to like help their family and stuff. And I was just like overwhelmed. And I sat beside Matt on the way to the guest house, and he was trying to talk to me. He could tell that I was just kind of like completely in shock. He even tried to take a selfie with me, his first selfie ever, but it didn't work. So we were just driving and just seeing everything. It was just so much for me. Like you can expect something, and our team did awesome, like helping us prepare and stuff, but it's not anything compared to like when you're actually there. And we got to the guest house, and I just broke down, and I cried for probably 5 hours that night and just bawled. And I told Kristen, I'm like, I want to go home. Like, I just want to go home. Why am I here? Like, what in the world did I get myself into? And she told me, she's like, you want to go home now? She's like, but wait till Saturday. You won't want to leave. And she was right. So my team they were awesome and supporting me and comforting me and encouraging me. We got to St. Louis, and St. Louis was so awesome. I fell in love with two little kids, Winsley and Valinda. They were just awesome. I miss them so much. I almost cried watching the video and seeing pictures of them. I think they were like the highlight of my trip, and just how kids and how they can just have absolutely nothing. They live on dirt floors, and half of them have no shoes, and they can just be so happy, and they're just so full of love. All the Haitians were just like, they were awesome. Our hosts and everything were just amazing. And at the work site, everyone that just like, they didn't have to help, but everyone helped. Like all the little kids, all like the people just walking around the streets came in and just helped us with everything. And I guess one of my favorite stories was what Linda said too when we were back in that little alleyway just singing. It was the song 10,000 Reasons. And all the little kids and us just singing to God, and like the little kids just lifting their hands, and it was just amazing and humbling. And then a guy named Joe, he was kind of the head contractor or guy that was helping build the school, who was friends with Alexan. His little boy was Winsley, and Winsley's the one that I fell in love with. But the last day, Joe sat us all down and got James to interpret for him. He just poured out his heart of how much he appreciated us, and like how blessed he was by us, and how we blessed the town, and how God is going to bless us, and just said the sweetest things. And then he sang us a hymn, and then he prayed over us, and it was just, all of us were in tears. It was just so like, it was just an amazing feeling just to see how these people like just so thankful for just something little, like just us coming there. And it was just amazing. And another good story, on our way back from St. Louis, thankfully me, Carol, and Justice got to sit in the cab on the rocky road part, and which was awful. 3.5 hours, like literally drain a river and drive on the bottom of a river. That's like what it was like. And so we had to sit on the back of the truck. It was me, Carol, Justice, Linda, Matt, and Kristen on the back of the truck all the rest 3 hours home. And that was like the full Haitian experience. It was awesome. And like they probably Haiti, they have no road laws at all. It's just a free-for-all, and it's pretty scary. But, I mean, he probably got up, 90 miles per hour with us on the back. It was awesome. But we were all being goofy and crazy, and Kristen had chocolate all over her face from her granola bar. But I think one last thing. Winsley, earlier in the week, Winsley we were just playing, and he told me that I couldn't leave. I had to stay with him. And then when we were leaving on Thursday, packing up the truck, I told him bye, and he just started bawling his eyes out. He was just bawling. He sat in my lap, and his dad had to come get him and sat him down. And like, that's all I can see is just him sitting on that little wall and just crying. And it was heartbreaking. And I told him I'd come see him again, and I will. So I'll be excited to go back to Haiti. And Kristen was right. On the plane ride home, Linda was looking through pictures, and I just started crying because I wanted to come home, but it changed my life, and it was amazing. And God worked in such big ways, more in our lives probably than theirs, but it was awesome.
Hi, I've really got the cold bad. This trip tested every emotion a person can have in every which way. And Sunday before we left Port-au-Prince, we went to church. Didn't understand a word they were saying, but God's love was there with me. He filled me in that little church, and then we took the ride to Nord. But the story is, I couldn't do a whole lot of the physical work, and I got a little upset with myself, but the team didn't get upset with me. But my job was to watch out for the children, and God blessed me in that way, because at the work site, I looked out for our belongings and the children. And the little boy that I was holding, it's amazing that this little boy, I'm a total stranger, and he fell asleep in my arms. And there was other children there that blessed me. And like Carol, Wednesday was a very hard day for me. I was very, very homesick, didn't want to be there anymore, and I got mad at God. Talked to Matt about it on the way to Vacation Bible School. Told him I was mad at God for the culture and what I was walking into and how the people were and how I didn't like the situation. But then God came to me and said it wasn't my judgment call. I had to adapt to that culture that he put me in, and I was there for a reason. And I adapted, and it came out all right. But you kind of get mad sometimes, but, God told me he's working through me, and the smile, the people, everyone there has smiles no matter what the situation. And just smiling at these people that don't understand you and you don't understand them, if you have God in your heart, they understand that. And, that's my purpose there, and I will go back. Don't want to go back next week, but I will go back, and I don't regret one moment the decision. And Linda had told me we kind of stayed behind that Thursday. We were both kind of not very good, didn't go to the work site that day, but God put us there for a reason. And we talked that day, and she made a comment to me that, it might be weeks or years down the road before I see why actually God put me in Haiti. Since I've come home, two of those reasons have come to light, and I'm sure there's more to come, but I don't regret going at all, and I will go back. Thank you.
I'm going last, so I let them do all the talking. I had things scripted out in my head, but that's all gone now. We're pretty much all had the same experience, one way or the other. We went thinking about these poor people. There's nothing poor about them. They might not have money that we have, but they are the happiest people in their situation you could ever imagine. I thought God was sending me to help them, help people that need help. He didn't. They don't need my help. They don't need our help. They greatly appreciate it. He sent me to teach me that people, just because they don't have money, they don't have our technology, they don't have our ease of life, it doesn't mean they're not happy. I mean, if you said hi to them in English or in Creole, they said hi back, smiled, waved. Pleasant people. Sure, you got a few bad apples in the bunch, but they're all just great people. I can't wait to go back. I'd go back tomorrow if I could. I wouldn't want to live there because I am a little spoiled, but I would go back on a regular basis. Going ahead of time, I joked when I spoke before we left that, I was going to carry all their bags. And I carried some bags, but it wasn't that bad. I couldn't have asked for a better group of ladies to go with. They brought me back, so I guess it couldn't have been too bad. But we all had our little challenges. We all just worked through them. And we worked through them because the people we were there to helped us work through them. You had the little children smiling, wanted to play. They loved rubbing my head. They kept calling it comfy. And that's something I'll never forget. They just loved the texture of my hair, my beard. They just were all about it. But they melt your heart. They climb up in your lap, and you can't understand a word they're saying. They don't understand you. But the smiles and hugging them and holding them, it's universal. It doesn't matter. And God sent us all there to learn that. We take it for granted, here that, we love on our kids the minute they're born. There they don't, because those parents know that those children have to grow up being tough. So they don't love on them. They don't carry them around. They don't hold them. These kids are walking around barefoot all day long, 3, 4 years old, with no guidance. And they flock to us. And we love on them, and they know we're going to love on them. It's, like Kristen said, we were there to help them forget Haiti for 5 minutes. To help them forget that they're in a tough situation and that they're going to be fine because people love them. All the people that were working at the work site with us, those weren't paid workers. A handful of them were. They were all volunteers. The men and the women, it was all their kids that would be attending this school and this church. So they volunteered their time and their labor to come dig foundations and carry all this rock. I mean, they dug foundations faster than we could ever imagine doing it. And no complaining, not one of them complained. No argument over who's doing more work than the other. Someone put a shovel down, one of the other guys picked it up and started digging. The women, they weren't doing that work. They were carrying buckets of water in so they could mix cement. They don't have running water. They carry it all in by 5-gallon buckets, and they carry it all by their heads. They literally carry it on their heads and pour it in a big barrel and keep going back and forth. Some of the women were cooking the lunch. The whole time they're sitting there cooking while the guys are working. It was just an amazing sense of community to watch them work together. And I wish I could take everybody here to Haiti to experience that. I wish I could take everybody in our community because it'd be a great thing to bring back. And that's all I have to say.